Hey everyone, welcome to the garden that is Send Us Flowers, where we are only curating the absolute best vibes. I'm your host, Busy, and today I have Nicole from the Dope Kitchen with me, and she is an incredible person. I mean, you have really cool content. I feel like it's very relatable and educational, but fun. And it's something I can just be super baked on my couch watching.
Oh, thanks. That's so nice. So sweet. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so today we have a really fun episode planned and some, I'm sure unplanned things that usually pops up. I want to talk about the Tik Tok ban. I want to talk about you being airlifted out of a hike because that's insane. We need to know about how that happened. Where did you end up? I have so many questions. And then I want to know how you smoke, what you smoke. I want to know, what are some healthy things that people can eat when they have the munchies? And not even healthy, but nutritious, how to fill yourself up in a way that's loving to your body and not so guilt-ridden, because sometimes I get guilty when I eat the munchies, and I know you've talked about that on some past podcasts, and I'd love to dive into some of those topics today.
Sounds wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, before we dive in, I would love to know who you are sending flowers to.
I'm sending flowers to my friend Amanda. She just lost her 99-year-old grandfather this week, so I think she deserves some flowers.
We are totally sending her some flowers. Mm-hmm. Okay, I usually like to light up around the time that we do send flowers.
Okay.
You're welcome to participate. I know we smoked a little bit before this. Flowers for your flowers.
Flowers for my flowers. What are you smoking?
I am smoking the Daydreams Sweet Dreams Quickies pre-roll. What are you rocking with?
Whatever you made me. What did you make me? I don't even remember. I just picked something because it said the word energy on the box, and I was
phases.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Okay, it's phases. And then I don't know if the other pre-roll did make it in here, but we can grab it if it's needed.
Yeah, I'm like a one puff wonder.
Okay,
so
wonderful.
I take things slowly. I won't be going through this whole thing.
Okay,
today.
So would you say you're kind of quote unquote a little bit of baby lungs?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I don't like the feeling of being too stoned. I like to keep things light so that I can still have a conversation without just sitting there with my mouth open drooling.
Well, we have water.
Yeah.
So you can at least be hydrated while you're drooling.
I'm a hydrated queen.
No, for sure. Okay, so Dope Kitchen. Tell us a little bit about that before we dive into talking about the Tik Tok ban.
What am I diving into?
Oh, I'm sorry.
See, this is why I'm a one puff wonder. I can't fucking
Wow, that
focus.
was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna just move that.
Please. What am I diving into?
I apologize. Tell us a little bit about Dope Kitchen.
Oh.
The thing you do.
The thing I do. Yeah, the thing I do.
We're doing so well so far.
We're not even 5 minutes into the episode.
Yes. Did you am I making you cry?
Oh my God. Okay, so anyway, Dope Kitchen is something that I started at the beginning of the pandemic when I was just bored, and I'm not just bored, I was sad and depressed and anxious because the pandemic had just started. I hadn't seen another human being in days, so I needed to do something to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And I just got high and I baked a pie, and I thought, oh, it would be kind of cute to film this and send it to my friends just to make them giggle during a time of lots of confusion and scariness. And my friends encouraged me to post it to TikTok, so I did, and people kept asking for more episodes because they thought being high and baking was really cute. So I just kept going with it, and I've turned it into a brand and a whole community on the internet, and it brings me so much fucking joy every day. And yeah, that's Dope Kitchen. Oh yeah, and I get high and I cook. That's the whole concept of it. Yeah. if I wasn't clear.
No, okay. I absolutely love it. I've followed you for a while. It was such an honor, honestly, to meet you at some of these events recently. And so I had to have you on. I think that what you do with food just makes it so much more, I don't know, accessible to people because it is kind of like, the chaos of the edits and what's in my fridge. And I just got super baked. And so now I need to figure out what to cook. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm like, same.
Well, something that I kind of recently started, or I talked about when I quit my full-time job with my audience, is that I used to work in food media. So I used to produce this like really high quality, beautifully shot, perfectly plated
Oh, wow.
recipe. And I kind of wanted to do something that was so far from what that is. Like I wanted to be the total opposite of like a perfectly stylized piece of food content. So I just started being my real self on the internet. I'm like, I literally do this every night.
Yeah.
I get stoned and I cook dinner, or I bake something and I mess up, and the whole process is super messy. And I didn't want to be another like perfectly stylized piece of food content on the internet.
Yeah.
Because not everyone can achieve that, whether they don't have access to like high quality ingredients or really nice cameras and lighting. Like not everyone is going to be able to make a perfect dish. So I just want to show people that you can just be chaotic and messy and still have a really fucking good time in the kitchen and a great meal.
Yes. Oh my God. The food at the end, I'm always like, okay, but can I have a bite? Also, like, how do I share? So you worked kind of in traditional marketing. You're now fully doing Dope Kitchen.
Yes.
What has that been like in that shift?
It's been a little bit of an existential crisis.
Cool.
Because,
tell us more.
Yeah. So I've never done any sort of freelance work in my entire career. I've always worked as like a W-2 employee at a company or corporation, no matter how big or small it is. And I've always had structure, and I've always had predictability in my job because every 2 weeks I'd get a paycheck, and I had really good health insurance through work, and I had like people to answer to and schedules to follow, etc. But when I left all of that behind and started working for myself, all of a sudden I got a ton of control back, and I got 40 hours of work per week back to like figure out what I wanted to do at that time instead of being told what to do. And it was kind of an existential crisis for me because I didn't know how to fill the time. I didn't know how to structure my day. I didn't really know how to take care of myself.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And, when I was working a 40-hour a week, really more than that, work week, plus making content on top of that, I had no time to really get to know myself and take care of myself fully. So quitting my job was scary because I felt like I didn't know who I was. I had no idea what my hobbies were. I didn't know how to fill the time in my day. And I just kind of started to spiral out of control for a little bit, but I, reeled it in. And in January, I started to adopt many lifestyle changes and habits that would contribute to, me being a little more organized and a little happier every day.
Yeah.
And that has totally shifted the way I feel. And it feels like really wonderful to be able to work for myself now and do something that makes me really happy.
That's such an incredible journey. Can I ask what are some of these things you've been implementing? Because there's other people in this room who constantly are searching for those things as well.
One of the biggest shifts that I've made, and I've been consistent with this pretty much every single day, is leaving my phone in another room to charge at night when I'm going to bed. And I try my best to get to bed at a consistent time every night. And that contributes to much better sleep, much less anxiety, less stress, just because I'm actually I'm putting the bright light away before going to bed. And I get that full 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and I just feel so much better.
Beautiful.
Sleep is literally the number one thing you should pay attention to if you want to make healthy lifestyle changes. Start with your sleep first, get your schedule in order, and then work on nutrition or movement after that. But sleep is the most important thing for your health.
Yeah.
And another thing that I did is I cut out coffee.
Really?
Yeah. I never
Tell
thought
me more.
I would ever cut out coffee, but I kind of accidentally went like 5 days without caffeine and I didn't notice it. So I kind of challenged myself to go as long as possible.
Yeah.
And I haven't turned back. I use other products, like I'll drink a matcha or like a mushroom water type of thing. And those kind of give me a little bit of energy, but it's more like natural energy and it's not like adrenaline and then crash.
Yeah.
And cutting out coffee has also helped my sleep. And when my sleep improves, everything else improves.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I know you are a little low key on this,
Mhm.
but I've heard you mention it in other podcasts. Have you incorporated, and they don't even have to be psychedelic, but are mushrooms a part of this journey and things you've incorporated?
I have microdosed in the past,
Mhm.
but I haven't done it yet this year.
Mm.
Every once in a while, I will take a tiny microdose of psilocybin mushrooms, and I always do it with the intention that I'm going to start microdosing, and then I just forget.
Right.
Because my little bag of mushrooms is like tucked in a shelf that I can't really see all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. That's how the ADHD brain works.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
Why I'm like, hey, where's the light here?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll take mushrooms once in a while. I haven't done a larger dose in a few months, but psychedelics are a huge part of how I manage my mental health.
Mhm.
And I feel like, 2 months after I quit my job, right before I started making all of these lifestyle habit changes, I took a dose of LSD with a friend.
Okay.
And that's kind of what forced me to realize like you need to change the little things that you do on a daily basis in order to create like big feelings of joy
Yes.
and organization and whatever. So it was LSD that really like helped me get through the
Wow.
job change. That's a little detail I skipped over, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, no, but I think that's huge. And to have that toolbox is so important. And okay, tell me more though about this LSD trip.
So I was in a funk after I quit my
Yeah.
job. I had also like ended a little situationship and some other things were kind of bothering me at the time. So
Right.
I knew that going into the new year, I wanted to do like a hard reset on
Mhm.
my brain. So there's a button.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So my friend and I, she was like kind of going through her own stuff too. We decided to do LSD together. We painted at my apartment. We just got some canvases and paint and just sat
Mhm.
outside painting and listening to really wonderful music.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful, joyful day. Everything was just like so emotional, so emotional, and beautiful. Like the colors were amazing. My experience with my friend was wonderful. So after that, I just kind of realized like this was such a beautiful day, but we did such basic things. So
Yeah,
it
that's
kind of
beautiful.
forced me to realize that I needed to like actively find joy in every day. And I feel like since then I haven't been as negative to myself in a long time. Like
Right.
I'm very mean to myself. And I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of people can relate to that, but I have stopped being as mean. And every once in a while when I catch myself being mean, like the nice person is the bigger one who like takes over and it's like, don't fuck with my friend Nicole like that, you know? So yeah, I just feel like that acid trip was so crucial for me to go into this year with a much more positive attitude. And a lot of that just, required me to make tiny little habit changes throughout my life. And that has contributed to a lot more happiness.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I do feel like to find happiness or that resolve with yourself, or at least be on the journey toward it, it's evolving.
Mhm.
I think that you do have to have a little bit of that bravery and honesty with yourself
Mhm.
because otherwise, what are you doing? You're
Right.
going to be so stuck.
Mhm.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so, how has cannabis affected this journey? Because I know that sometimes it can be, a tool that's helpful, but also sometimes it's not always. And so
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, how did that help you? And is it something you relied on more, less?
I am trying to rely on it less.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the last few weeks, though, I've kind of hit a point where I'm just like starting to consume it a little too much again, and I need to reel it back. But that happens.
Here, try all this weed. And then, like, literally bags of weed.
But I I really tried to reel it back at the beginning of this year and just consume with more intention. I didn't want to just reach for a joint or pack a bowl or my bong, whatever, whenever I was bored. I wanted to consume weed with intention, whether it was to have better sleep or to have fun with a friend or to treat myself for a night. Like I needed to state some reason and be able to like believe that that reason is like valid, you know? So I really wanted to just have a sober, clear mind as much as possible at the beginning of this year. So I really only consumed like when I was making content or if I had like an event to go to and just needed to ease the social anxiety. So.
Yeah. What do you think is like the perfect amount to ease social anxiety, at least for you? Because I know sometimes there is a line that can be crossed where it actually enhances the social anxiety.
So it depends on where I am, but if I'm at a bar, I usually can't like smoke a joint at a bar. So I'll bring like a THC drink packet and it's only like maybe 2 to 5 milligrams of THC. That's the perfect amount for me to be social and to just have something to do with my hands by having a drink, you know? But if I'm in a more like intimate setting where I'm like, I don't know, in a small group, then I'd say like 2 to 3 puffs of a joint is the maximum for me. And then beyond that, I'm just like sitting there drooling.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. And so when you're, you know, prepping all of your food, I've heard in past podcasts too that you do a lot of meal prep. And I'm curious, what's that like? And how do you stay consistent with meal prep? Because I would personally love to know. And especially, you know, when you're getting baked, like how do you kind of stay on track for the meal that you're intending to make?
So I don't meal prep as much now. I used to a lot more, but I think that was probably because I had a full-time job and like if I wasn't meal prepping, then I wasn't finding the time to actually make a healthy meal. Now since I work from home and my job is to cook for myself, it's like I'm just constantly cooking and just eating those leftovers. So like maybe I'll cook something on a Monday and have all of that leftover on Tuesday and then I cook again Wednesday. So I'm like an every other day cook. But for Dope Kitchen, lately I've just been allowing myself to just be really loose with my recipes. I used to like really try to plan it out every week, but now I've been having a lot of fun just buying random groceries and just having a bunch of different ingredients that I didn't really have a plan for in my kitchen. I have a very well-stocked pantry that I'm very proud of. It's very organized. But I like just to, I'm sure you've seen in some of my episodes, I like to just say like, let's cook whatever in my apartment.
You're like, let's see what's in my fridge. And then you open the fridge and you're like pulling out, okay, we have this meat and then we have like cabbage or something.
And it forces me to be creative because I don't want to make the same like Asian inspired sauce or the same like type of cheesy pasta every other night. So it's forcing me to like find other interesting ingredients in my pantry or buy something new and exciting and have fun with my meals from there.
Do you grocery shop high?
I try not to. I really try not to.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a super productive or functional high. Like I can cook in my kitchen, but after the meal is done cooking, I can't even clean most of the time. I save that for sober Nicole in the morning and I hate myself for it.
Okay.
Yeah. But but it's what was the question?
Your grocery shop high and what your stance was there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not a functional high, so I can't grocery shop high.
Amazing.
Unless I order groceries for delivery.
Is that dangerous though?
No, because I'm less distracted by the yummy looking things in the grocery store. If I go to the grocery store and I'm high, then I will buy like cake that I don't need to buy a cake for myself. I really don't. Not all the time.
You can buy yourself cake.
Yeah.
Give yourself some cake.
Sometimes.
You can eat it too.
Yeah. But if I shop online, I'm not distracted and I get only what's needed.
Okay, that's totally understandable. Do you think that do you think you get more munchies if you smoke or if you have an edible?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, test it out. Think about it and let me know.
But here's my thoughts on Munchies. I don't really get the Munchies. That's why I am like, it's hard for me to think of an answer to that question. Because, and here's my tip for people who want to avoid the Munchies. My biggest tip is just to get your nutrition in order. Like you need to have balanced meals, like 3 to 4 hours apart, 3 to 4 times a day, in my opinion. You need to eat like really healthy throughout the day, because once you're satiated, like if you're a nighttime stoner like me, by the time you get stoned at the end of the day, you should feel pretty satiated and like full from what you've eaten throughout the day. So food is not on the mind. But if I smoke when I'm hungry and I haven't had like balanced meals throughout the day, then I get the munchies. So I avoid that by like focusing on my nutrition throughout the day.
Okay.
And that's kind of why when I am making content, the majority of the food I make is healthy food.
Yeah.
Like it's a salad with like a balance of protein, carbs, and fat, and some vegetables in there. And that's kind of what I'm trying to teach people through my content, even if I'm not explicitly saying this. But you can be a stoner and still eat really balanced meals and have a healthy fucking lifestyle. Like you don't have to fit the stereotype of like only eating takeout and Taco Bell.
Oh my God. I totally agree. And and that's why I feel so cautious about like wording, especially so like I have endometriosis. And so there's a ton of like, food stuff with that and chronic health things. And so I always try to talk about food like in a nutritious standpoint and like feeding yourself and like, giving yourself that love. And sometimes it's like, okay, is this food going to be like the most like nutritiously valuable to me? Because then it takes away like the body image of it and like, how will I look, or like, how does this feel? Like it's going to make me feel good in the moment. Yeah, because it's Taco Bell. It's delicious. But like tomorrow, Liz at 8 a.m. on the toilet is probably not going to be that thrilled.
Not be real happy with those choices. No, but I think also as we get older and just have more experience in like paying attention to what our bodies are doing after we eat something, we know what feels good and what doesn't.
Totally.
So as long as you're, choosing foods that make you physically and emotionally feel good, that's all you can do to like take care of your body.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So TikTok is primarily where you have built Dope Kitchen, right? And so I'm curious, but you've expanded so much. I mean, it's like a kingdom of Dope Kitchen. And it's so cool. Like I've seen you on like Tastemade. I see you're building YouTube. Like your Instagram is always popping off. Like I love watching your stories. But I'm curious, with TikTok and like the contentiousness around the app, how do you feel about, a potential ban and what that could potentially do to Dope Kitchen?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I know I've rambled about so many topics so far, but but I feel that if TikTok goes away, it's probably a blessing because I'll get 4 hours of productivity back every day. But like I feel like I'll be okay. There are other platforms for me to build on, and I've always told myself that if everything kind of fails with Dope Kitchen, or if I just stop having fun with it, I'm going right back to my career and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So whatever happens. But I have a lot of thoughts on the TikTok stuff, because this isn't just about, like banning an app, or this isn't just about national security. There are so many really upsetting things that have happened in this country over the last year, at least, with women's rights being taken away, with gun laws are not changing in this country, and they're banning books, they're banning drag queens. We can't even say the word gay in some places in the country.
Or talk about your periods.
Like it's so upsetting to me, because I just feel like this government is trying to take away our self-expression, and they want us all to be the same as in like those old Christian American values. Like I don't feel comfortable with the fact that our government is kind of forcing that upon us now, and they're taking away the app because they realize that people have been able to mobilize and communicate and learn from each other and become more woke and become much smarter, and that's terrifying to people in power.
I totally agree.
To have the people that they're governing be really fucking smart and know how to mobilize.
Yeah.
So it's like, if the app goes away, like, my career will be fine. I don't really care what happens to Dope Kitchen. Like, I appreciate this community for everything.
No,
that has,
I care. You have to wait. Stop. Hang on.
But it's not about me.
Wait a minute.
But it's not about me.
I was like, I'm talking about TikTok failing, not you. Fuck that. Wait, let's clear something up here.
Okay.
Wait a second. You're like not. No, you're gonna be fine.
Oh my god. Sure, I'll be okay. Whatever.
Yeah,
but
no.
like, I don't know. I care so much about
Mm-hmm.
the people in this country being able to express ourselves however
Yeah.
we choose to, and it sucks to see things be taken away.
I totally agree. And you have built such a cool community. I mean, I see people in your comments and they're so excited
Mhm.
about what you're doing, about what you're going to make. And it's awesome to have been able to watch kind of your evolution too. Like, you don't only post about food, you post about, mental health, you post about like body image, you post about I've seen you starting to incorporate more like fitness stuff with kind of like your past in powerlifting.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I really think it's awesome that people want to know the person kind of behind Dope Kitchen.
Mhm.
And one thing I know that you posted recently about was being airlifted out of Lake Havasu.
It was Havasu Falls.
Havasu Falls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. So
What was happening there?
Oh man, I was so excited for that trip, because if you know anything about like hiking in America and like great American hiking trips, you know about Havasu Falls. It's a beautiful area. It's like in these red canyons with this turquoise waterfall and a turquoise creek that runs all the way through to meet the Colorado River. And it's just such a beautiful and amazing place, and I was so excited to go. But the day my permit was supposed to start, it was raining all day, so I decided I was going to hold off on starting my hike, even if it meant losing a day of my permit. I didn't want to get stuck in the rain. And then when I got to the falls the next day, it was just kind of muddy. And it wasn't that beautiful turquoise color.
Yeah.
And it was still really cool to see, of course. And I
Yeah.
appreciate the land for what it is. But I was like bummed to not see the water look the way it was. And I figured within like 24 to 48 hours before my trip ends, I would probably see clear water because it wasn't going to rain for the next couple days. But the next morning I was woken up around 8 a.m. to someone telling me that there was a flash flood coming in. And when I had to pack up my stuff and go up toward the waterfall, we were just kind of waiting at the top of it in order to get out. And the water was incredibly brown and the waterfall was super like intense and powerful. So anyway, the bridge to get out of the campground was underwater, so we couldn't get out. I had to go up this alternate route, climbing a canyon wall.
Oh my God.
And hike back to the village. And that's when I was able to get a helicopter out of the canyon so I could get back to my car. But I had to pay for the helicopter because these are like touristy helicopter rides. They offer them all the time. So it wasn't like I wasn't being rescued. It wasn't a rescue helicopter.
Okay.
But it was still my only way out. For at least a day or two. And I just wanted to get out of there that fucking night. So I paid like $110 for the helicopter and I got the hell out. It's not even that much.
Oh my God.
It felt like $10 in the moment because it was worth every penny to get out.
You're like, I would have paid 10 times.
Yeah, please.
Okay, that's wild. Were you like high at any point during this?
At night, before I realized anything would happen, I had an edible, but I had just woken up, so I hadn't had anything in my system yet. So I'm glad I was sober through that moment because that was a little chaotic.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting time. I felt like I wasn't even scared. I've been through worse out in nature, so like this was nothing for me.
Yeah.
So I just kind of used my brain and like listened to conversations and like followed people who seemed like they were figuring out a way out of there. And that's how I was able to get out that night and I was fine.
What do you mean you've been in worse situations? because that one didn't look so great. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, it gets worse.
How bad it gets.
It gets worse.
I'm down to dive down that rabbit hole if you are. Okay, cool.
So, let's see. I guess my first ever backpacking trip, it was 22 miles and I sprained my ankle at the 11-mile mark and still had a whole day of long hiking to get out of there.
Oh my God.
But I was fine. And then another backpacking trip I went on was Labor Day weekend 2020, and there were a lot of wildfires happening that weekend, but I didn't think I was going to be affected.
Oh my God.
So we got through the first 2 days and 2 nights of our backpacking trip, which were perfectly fine. But on the second day, the smoke was starting to come in, and we weren't really sure how far away a fire was. And we were woken up at 1:45 in the morning on our second night to someone screaming, fire, evacuate. And I popped out of my tent. I tried to call back to the person and they didn't answer. And my friend David was like, what do we do? And I said, we fucking pack up right now and we go.
Yeah.
So we ran down the mountain back to my car, got there in 2 hours. And when we were able to get internet connection again, we looked up a fire map and it was maybe 70 miles away. So it wasn't close enough to be an immediate harm.
Yeah.
But the smoke was so thick. When we woke up in the middle of the night and had our headlamps on, our headlamps were shining on all of the ash that was falling from the sky. So it was thick smoke. And if we had waited any longer, the fire probably would have gotten much closer and the smoke would have been even worse. And that could be dangerous for our lungs. So
yeah.
And then the last backpacking trip I went on, before this past one, was in Nepal, and I got altitude sickness and COVID on the same day. Ooh. So it was really rough to make it through a couple more days of that.
What was that like? What was going through your head?
I thought I was dying.
Okay.
Well, so I did not expect my diagnosis to be COVID.
Yeah.
Because I got altitude sickness symptoms first. And then the next day I started to develop this cough and I was having a lot of trouble breathing. I had a little bit of a fever. So I didn't think it was COVID because I had already been in the country for 6 days at that point. So I figured if I got it from the airport, it wasn't going to take 6 full days for symptoms to hit me.
Got it.
But where was I? I always lose my train of thought.
In Nepal, and you had COVID and elevation sickness.
Oh, yeah. So I had Wi-Fi at some of the stops that I was sleeping at, and I would Google symptoms of a cough after altitude sickness just to see what that was connected to, and it just showed me this horrifying result of some pulmonary infection that could potentially kill me. So I was like, fuck, am I gonna die here in Nepal? I had so much anxiety for the rest of the trip. Plus I had a fever, plus a terrible cough, and I still had 2 full days of hiking for 7 to 9 hours.
Wow.
And I wasn't gonna get back to LA for another 3 days. So I flew home wearing a mask, of course, and when I got back to my apartment in LA, I took a COVID test and it was positive.
Oh my God.
And it was kind of a sense of relief to know that it was COVID and not anything scarier.
Yeah.
But it just sucked to realize that it was altitude sickness and COVID, and the whole second half of the trip was painful for me.
Wild.
Yeah.
You've been on some incredible adventures.
Yeah.
So what's next?
I'm going to Costa Rica on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm really excited.
Safe travels. What are you going to be doing?
I'm staying at this resort on a river, and we're going to sleep in a different location every night and just do a bunch of outdoor jungly activities waterfall rappelling and whitewater rafting, horseback riding, some other fun stuff.
So
I'm
cool.
Super pumped.
Have you always been, super outdoorsy?
No.
Is that from your childhood?
Not at all.
Really?
I did not grow up hiking at all. I was a beach person when I was a kid because I lived in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And I went to the beach every summer. So now I live by the beach in California.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't start hiking. I guess my first hike ever was in college somewhere in Ohio or Pennsylvania. And then when I moved out to LA in 2014, I started to hike a little bit, but little 3-mile hikes. And people just kept teaching me things, and I kept getting into hiking bigger mountains, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing it. And now I just like most of my vacations are planned around backpacking, hiking, or some type of nature activity.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Where do you have like an ultimate destination that you're
Yeah, the
hoping to get to?
Dolomites in Italy.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The Dolomites in Italy.
What's
It's like
that?
northern Italy. It's a beautiful mountain range.
Okay.
So I would love to do some backpacking there.
Wow.
And just see that part of the world. It looks beautiful.
Okay, that sounds absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I need to do it at some point in the next couple of years.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, I was like half expecting you to be like, and I'm going there next after Costa Rica.
No. Not quite.
No, it's good to have your eyes set on something though. If someone is, you know, do you smoke on your hikes? Like what's your relationship with cannabis and hiking? And I guess fitness in general.
If I'm backpacking, then I always take edibles with me for at night after I'm done hiking. But for the most part, I don't do any physical activity while I'm high unless it's running or walking. So it needs to be, I feel like it needs to be in a place that I'm very familiar with. I feel like I would be paranoid if I was stoned out in the wilderness, especially if like bears are there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I need to be sober and ready to act.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
Like if there's like wild animals trying to attack me, then maybe I should be a little alert.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Do you think that other people, you know, I guess what's a better way to ask this question? How do you feel about other people incorporating cannabis into like their fitness or their hikes?
Whatever works for people.
Yeah.
You know, it's none of my business to say that something is like not cool or cool. But yeah, whatever works for people. Every once in a while, I'll go to the gym on like a very small dose of THC and it feels nice.
Yeah.
It helps ease my gym anxiety because sometimes I still have gym anxiety.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's more like I'm anxious about the workout and not necessarily anxious about the environment, you know? Like if I see that Bulgarian split squats are on my program, then I will cry and I get really anxious about that.
Okay.
Any leg day is an anxiety-inducing day for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back into powerlifting at all?
So I feel like I'm just traveling too much this year to really be consistent with working out. I would love to compete again, but at this point, I'm just moving my body just to take care of my body. And I don't really care about hitting like personal records or competing or like squatting as heavy as possible. I'm just trying to take care of my body. So eventually, if I like slow down on the travel front, then like I would love to compete again, but not now.
Okay. Awesome. Well, before we wrap this up, I know you cook a lot of food and I wanted to attempt to possibly smoke out of food.
Okay.
Because I did it recently and honestly it was much more fun than I anticipated. The achievement of it feels really good because you're like, is this gonna work out? It's kind of scientific.
Yeah.
So I have coffee cake because I wanted to bring cheese. But the deli literally wouldn't sell me the cheese that I wanted, which was really strange.
That is ridiculous.
And so I figure, you know, if this works, it works. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. And so in my mind, so for all my audio listeners, we have a coffee cake right now. And so I'm thinking we like put the bowl hole here and then like a mouth hole here.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like slide it in. And I feel like it would work.
Yeah.
If you're down
I'm
to
so
do
down
this.
to try. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Alex. Okay, so for all here in the camera, do a close up. We're going to I think Cole. Yeah, that's about in the center. I don't usually do this.
You just started with the croissant video? Is that the first time you ever did that?
No, I mean, when I was like in college, I would smoke out of food all the time.
Oh.
But mostly because I didn't have anything else to smoke. So I'd be like, an apple is like 89 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like $3.
I know.
But at the time, kids. But yeah, like I didn't know. I also didn't know what I was really doing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there wasn't TikTok. There wasn't like all this other stuff. And so it was kind of whatever someone told you or showed you to do or what you had like the idea to do.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever smoke out of foods? Was that a thing for you?
No, I don't think I ever have. I feel like I've always had access to people who had the right equipment. Or I would just do edibles. I'm kind of a late bloomer with smoking.
Yeah.
I did it for the first time when I was 18 on my senior prom night. And I only did it a handful of times in college because I was one of those kids who was like, if I ever get in like really bad trouble, my parents are gonna kill me, and I don't want to disappoint my parents.
Of course.
So I only smoked a handful of times when it was readily available and someone was like offering it to me. I think I bought weed for the first time when I was a junior, which feels really late. And then when I moved out to California, I wasn't really consistently using cannabis until it became recreationally legal. So 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. That's my whole weed story.
I love that. But I think everyone has a different relationship with it. And you're from the East Coast. Like, do your parents know that you smoke?
Now they do.
Now they do.
I had to. Yeah. Now they do.
Like, do your parents know?
Yeah.
We're like, I don't know. I'm 30.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a full adult.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I know. I am 32 and I am.
Great.
Yeah. You know. I'm fine. I still have to break the news to my parents on these things.
Funny.
My mom is like way more chill about it, and my dad took some convincing.
Okay.
But now they're both like, they get it. They're fine. I'm able to be a successful stoner, so they get it.
Wonderful. I don't know if you want to give it the first shot.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if that puts you on the spot too much, but
I'll try my best.
Okay, so there's the mouthpiece.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking you just pull the bowl, honestly, like, you know, kind of like a wheat, like a dry bong, unfortunately.
Yeah. Dry bong.
But the croissant tasted good, so like I think it could be successful for you.
Okay.
I'm really curious how this is going to turn out.
Hold on.
Okay.
I like really want to eat it because it does taste so good, but also this is so funny. Do you want
Oh my god.
I don't think I'm getting anything
Okay,
there.
let's see. No. Oh, it's completely clogged with
there
bread.
We go.
Okay, let's.
Oh, you got a little.
There was like a little bit.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners, there was a visible amount of smoke, I think, that came out.
Yeah.
And it actually really does taste kind of good.
Huh.
Do you want to try again?
Oh, one more.
You're okay, cool.
One
I was
more
like,
option.
nah,
Yeah.
maybe not.
No.
No.
I don't think I got anything.
Okay.
A little
Well, we
piece.
attempted.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go, is there anything in your bag that you want to share?
This bag?
In your stoner bag, you know, is there like anything you're particularly smoking on or that you enjoy that other people should know about?
I don't know if I've had anything very new or exciting lately, but I will say that in the last like 6 months, I started using a bong for the first time. I've only smoked out of a bong like a handful of times, but I finally got my own last year.
I love a great bong.
And I loved it so much. It's my favorite
Yes.
high experience, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm usually a joint smoker on a
Okay.
day-to-day basis, but when I want to treat myself, it's the bong.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah.
I'm totally preferential to a bong.
Mm.
It's one of my favorite ways to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the kind of high you can hang out on your couch and like watch a really funny show.
Yeah.
And like laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Like out loud, embarrassingly so.
I agree. Fun high.
Okay. Before we go, anything else you want to share? Anything anyone should look for?
No, just follow me. Hello.
Okay, it's Dope Kitchen everywhere, but with
It's
so
2 underscores
yes.
on Instagram, 1 underscore between Dope and Kitchen on TikTok, and just search Dope Kitchen on YouTube. And I think that's all. I think that's it.
Okay,
Those are the only
amazing.
platforms.
Well, thank you all for watching another episode of Send Us Flowers. And Nicole, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Just appreciate you so much. Thanks for doing ridiculous things like trying to smoke a coffee cake. It was like, I'd give that like a 68%.
Yeah.
Like it kind of did its job, but not really.
Yeah.
Like,
I think honestly, if I was alone, I would probably like chomp into it and try to inhale, but I'm trying to be polite.
Okay. Yeah. No, you can do it off camera then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks everyone so much. And thank you for watching another episode of Send Us Flowers. I will see you all next week. Bye.